Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our evening session of the Watsonville City Council. This is June 25th, and we'll have roll call. Madam Clerk, please.
Ilicic,
Present.
Cervantes,
Here.
Kaplan Gomez,
Present.
Dodge,
Here.
Hernandez, Montesino,
Here.
Hurst.
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We'll start out with presentations and oral communications, but if there's anyone present that needs translation services, shall I read the translation for the services for the record, or is that necessary this evening?
Always enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Buenas noches a todos. Para usted, para usar los aparatos de interpretación en español, tengo un aparato de la mesa junto a la caseta de interpretación. Préndalo y use un canal 0, cuélgueselo en el cuello con el frente hacia afuera. Si no puede oír, revise que un aparato está encendido y sin obstrucciones. Solo funciona dentro de la cámara del concilio. Regrésalo antes de partir. Discúlpame, no habla bien español.
I enjoyed it.
I'll have to get a little more practice. That's all I can say. Thank you for your patience. First, we'll have oral communications from the public, and then we will have some presentations, and we'll have oral communications from the council, some beautification awards. If you don't have an agenda, there are some out on the entryway. Feel free to get up and procure one for yourself so that you can follow along with our agenda. So let's hear from the public on items that are not on our agenda. It always helps if you fill out the blue card with your name and address so that we get an accurate record of who you are and what you've got to say to us for our notes and our minutes. And it always helps the council if they know who their constituents are. So please feel free to tell us what district you might live in as well. So if we could have the public address us at this time, and then we'll have an opportunity for the council to share as well. Items that are not on our agenda, anyone wishing to approach the microphone, do so at this time. Seeing no oral communications from the public, at this time we'll go on to our agenda. We'll have comments and communications from the council. Council members? Councilmember Kaufman Gomez.
There are a couple things that have come up. We had a meeting earlier this month with Kurt Overmeyer and our business development with regarding the downtown. So I just want to encourage those that have business owners that are downtown or the owners of the buildings for downtown to stay attuned to what we're doing, to schedule our next meeting to discuss a little bit more about our downtown development, our issues that we have, some of the challenges that we're to face in order for us to do some development that's down in that area. So it was an encouraging discussion. We had several, I was a council representation. We had Greg Caput that was there. The incubators had come in, and we had a couple of the business owners that were downtown. So we're encouraging to let you know to keep an eye out on that so that we can have your involvement on helping us with the development of downtown and give us some feedback and some support on maybe projects that we would have viable for our community here. And the other thing I'd like to do is I'd like to just acknowledge our Youth City Council and the National Award for the Character of Education Partnership from Washington, D.C. For their youth and practicing of our City Council for the youth. I'm also encouraging to invite the youth to help us with this business development also. They have quite a few ideas that I think would be helpful. And again, congratulations with our Youth City Council. And hopefully we'll have some participation with our youth on our downtown development as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other council members who wish to comment on items not on our agenda? Councilmember Bilicic.
I would like to thank everyone who attended the Zone 7 flood meeting here in this room on June 17th. We are hoping to have that meeting transferred to Watsonville, those meetings, and I think it was great to see so many people here. We won't know until the meeting in September what the outcome is, but I think you did a good job being here and participating in that meeting, so I thank you. I also want to thank Public Works. I've noticed that there's seems to be a lot more street striping lately, and we see lines painted, and people are saying, "Hey, what's happening over there?" They're doing things, and you're seeing crosswalks painted, and it's good. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Other council members wish to address the items not on the agenda? Mayor Pro Tem?
Sure. Just very quickly, I wanted to congratulate the Azteca soccer program that's run by coach and also probation officer Gina Castañeda. This is a nationally recognized program that uses soccer as a mechanism by which to provide, further opportunities for our young people, and in the end, resulting in reduced gang violence and violence in our community more generally. And I also want to just give a special thank you to our Watsonville Police Department, who played the youth on Sunday over at Soccer Central, and just thank them for volunteering their time to participate in the sport of soccer and engaging these young people in our community to stay productive, stay fit, and most importantly, to reduce violence in our community.
Thank you. Councilmember Hernandez?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to mention, too, that me and the mayor had an opportunity to go over to the airport open house, and they had a really great event over there, really great turnout. We saw some planes and automobiles and a lot of people in the community there that we got to talk to, and it was really great, see some of we saw some of the pilots there. They actually got to talk to some of them. Really great event. And also, I want to congratulate and thank all the people that helped out PAL and their fundraiser. I got the opportunity to go there, get some of the barbecue they had. It's really great that people got together and, planned that fundraiser. They came together for the youth of our community, and it's really important that we have people like that. And that brings me to the soccer game, too, that we went to, the Aztecas versus the Watsonville Police Department. It's really great that we have people like Gina, and she has a great program going on there with the youth soccer league, youth soccer team. I just wish we had more people in our community that would invest that much time and effort into our community. I think the WPD needs some little bit more training. 6 to 2 is kind of a blowout. So, but it's great. It's great that we have that in the community. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Bilicic.
I also wanted to, in addition to PAL, which was a great event, which several of us attended, also Papas was there on, was it Saturday? And that was another fine event. I mean, we have a lot of things that were going on that Saturday. And I think there were 4 or 5 events, and I think most of us ended up going to some of them so that we touched bases on the events. And it's really great to see the community come together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members at this time? Just to inform the public, I was at the Red Cross annual meeting, and we had a number of recognitions of Watsonville and as well as the other cities involved in supporting Red Cross, and how we all depend upon Red Cross for disaster. They're here for all our fires and our earthquakes and our floods, and they stand next to our public safety officers and assist the wounded and the injured and the displaced. And so I was glad to assist the Red Cross in that celebratory manner. Number of graduations have taken place recently, and I want to congratulate all the graduates again. It's a hallmark of moving forward to have that kind of educational background behind you and look forward to a career and further training. The Papa's event was very moving, and we recall that they were here before us during the budget hearings, as well as many other groups were here before us during the budget hearings, and we wish our budget was better. We hope it'll get there. We're trying our best to try and find new revenue sources, as well as restrict our expenditures and maintain a positive economic situation. Again, thank you, Councilmember Hernandez, for attending the airport open house. It was well attended, and we do recognize the economic contribution that the airport provides, as well as its role in disaster relief and transportation as well. Zone 7 meeting was well attended, and thank every public member that attended that. Flood control is a big issue in this community, and we need to stay on that subject very closely. So with that, let's go to our next item on our agenda. That's 3.2, report out of closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was no final action taken out of closed session this evening.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the presentation of the mayor's proclamation to Esther Ura, recipient of the Jefferson Award. And Ms. Ura, you're in the audience this evening. Do you have your proclamation? It's right over here. I'm going to step to the microphone and do this presentation, but let me say that I don't know if my presentation's going to be any better than it was previously or not, because I have done this twice before. And I was glad to do it twice before. So this third time ought to be as good, but I did have the honor of going to KSBW and the Salinas location, where it was televised, and it was a moving experience. So, Ms. Ura, if you'll come up to the microphone, please. And we're making this proud presentation to you because we've done it in Salinas. We did it at your school, and I thought your school was a really sweet spot, and the students really enjoyed that a great deal. And so it was my pleasure to go out to Bradley and celebrate with your family and the students, and know how much love and respect they have for you. So let me read this into the record quite briefly, if I can. This is to Esther Ura, 2013 Jefferson Award winner, and it reads as the following. Esther Ura was born in 1940 in Gilroy. Then her family moved to the Central Valley and Fresno area at the beginning of World War II, and then to Arizona in hopes of escaping internment that many Japanese Americans who lived in California had already endured. And whereas Esther and her family were interned for 3 years, and once World War II was ended, she and her family returned to California, and Esther married her pharmacist husband, Ernie, in 1963 and settled in Watsonville and had 2 children, Jennifer and Jason. And aside from being a full-time mother, was also director of medical records at Watsonville Community Hospital, and a community volunteer and a caregiver to her beloved husband. And whereas Through her 50 years of volunteerism with her church, the Watsonville Buddhist Temple, Esther has been an integral part of fundraising and community service. Esther began her volunteerism career at McQuitty Elementary School in the 70s and continued through Watsonville High with her first grad night in the 80s, as well as throughout the decades. For the past 6 years, she has volunteered with Bradley Elementary School and is known as Grandma Esther. According to Kathy Arau, principal of Bradley Elementary, Grandma Esther has worked tirelessly to serve our students every day so that they may grow and learn to reach their highest potential. She is truly the most outstanding volunteer that I have seen in my 27 years of education, Principal Arola has stated. Grandma Esther has touched countless and thousands of lives through her volunteerism and her service in our public schools and our community, and she has single-handedly supported hundreds of students and teachers throughout her ceaseless efforts that have inspired them to want to emulate her dedication and contributions to our community. Now, therefore, I, Lowell Hurst, Mayor of Watsonville City, State of California, have hereby commend Esther for her qualities as an inspirational and visionary leader who strives and has attained excellence in all she does, and we thank her for her years of community service and congratulate her on being chosen as the 2013 Jefferson Award recipient. Congratulations, Esther. We're so glad to be able to celebrate and have you in our community, and you know, it's such a special opportunity for me to again present you with this proclamation and to make sure that the viewers in Watsonville and parts beyond also know of this occasion and celebrate with you. And so if you'd like to have a few words, we'd welcome that opportunity, and we just want to show this proclamation to the audience at this time. It's certainly a rarity to have our Jefferson Award winners from the Pajaro Valley, and we're very pleased and we're very happy to be able to acknowledge you in this public forum and other public forums as well. And so, Grandma Esther, thank you very much. If you'd like to say a few words to our viewing public, you may use this microphone as well, or the one behind you, your choice.
Thank you. Hear me? Well, thank you. I want to thank Mayor Hurst for coming. He did 3 different times, well, 2 different times in here, and thank you very much. Appreciate it. The children at Bradley thought this was the greatest thing. The whole student body was there, and they were very good, weren't they? They were very good. And they were so excited, and one student in my grandson's class came up afterwards and said, "Are you the mayor? Can I shake your hand?" He was so pleased. But I really appreciate it because he came to Salinas, then he came to Bradley School, which is really nice. And volunteering, I really enjoy volunteering, but my parents used to volunteer all the time. I think it was my mother was on the Commission for Aging, and my father got the award for Man of the Year. This is in the Central Valley. And so volunteering was something that we saw as we were growing up also. And my parents, well, let's see, I'm trying to think. They probably grew up in high school time in the 30s. And at that time, unless, you were able to, the family could send you to college, most of them, I think they quit school when they were 16 so that they could go help in the fields where they worked. So my mother, she skipped a grade in grammar school, a grade in high school, and she graduated at the age of 16. And my father graduated from high school also. So that was rather unusual in those days. And for them, education was so important. I have 4 sisters, And growing up, it was not a matter of if we were going to college or not. It was a matter of where we're going to go. So we all went to college, and I hope I stress that upon my children, because my two went to very good colleges too. But you know, I enjoy volunteering. The children is for the children at Bradley. That's what it's all about. But I'm getting all this credit, but you know who really should be getting the credit are the teachers. There are some awesome, awesome teachers at Bradley. They really are. And there's one sitting here who used to teach at Bradley, my dear, dear friend, and I want to thank them, Mas and Marsha Hashimoto, for always being there for me and coming here tonight, and my family. My grandson is sitting there. But thank you very much.
Certainly welcome. Please use the microphone.
Marsha Hashimoto, 578 Vivian Drive, District 7. Mayor Lowell Hurst, City Council members, on behalf of the Watsonville, Santa Cruz Japanese American Citizens League, I would like to extend our congratulations to Esther Ura upon receiving the prestigious KSBW Jefferson Award as an outstanding volunteer of our community. I would also like to thank the City Council for honoring Esther with a proclamation of recognition. Esther's volunteer service in the area of education began when her children, Jennifer and Jason, were in my kindergarten class about 40 years ago. Parent volunteers were and continue to be crucial as budget problems increase class size and cut aid support. Esther was and still is one of the best helpers students and teachers could ever have. On a daily basis, she gives her love and attention to as many children as she can embrace, and the entire school know her as Grandma Esther. Esther has also been active at our Buddhist temple and JACL. She served on our board as secretary for several years, and I must say, she has a reputation of being the best secretary of our organization. The Jefferson Award presented to Esther is particularly special because her nomination comes from the hearts of children at Bradley School, and specifically teacher Ari Parker's fifth graders. To be nominated by students for this award, I believe, is unprecedented and is evidence of the high regard and affection the children have for Esther, for Grandma Esther. So congratulations, and thank you, Esther, for supporting and caring for our children and our community. Thank you, Esther. Thank you.
We are certainly fortunate to have Ms. Ura in our community. And Marcia, thank you very much for your kind words and extra explanation. I think we're all, it's a high bar that's set by Esther, and so I hope others will emulate her volunteerism and contribution to the community. Speaking of Councilmember Dodge.
I too would just like to echo those sentiments to Ms. Ura and say congratulations. The award you receive it's in your name, but I know it's for all the children that you've ever touched in their lives to be able to make such a difference. And I think that, and seeing both you and Mas and Marcia here this evening, all of you bring a lot of love and blessings with your lives that you share with us, and that helps really bring a feeling of healing and compassion in the community that you give us on an everyday basis. So I wanted to say thank you for everything. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Bilicich.
Grandma Esther, I tell you, being in the educational field, I have heard from you north and south, all over the area, and I commend you on this prestigious award. And Marcia, your words were eloquent. Thank you very much. both of you. And Moss, you're awesome. We're so happy that you're here. You should be the city photographer, I tell you. You're always taking pictures, and they're really great. You share with so many. And your grandson's here. I think that's great. Good for you. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
We're all very fortunate. Thank you. Next on our agenda is some additional awards. These are the beautification awards, and I'd like to thank the beautification committee for going out and prowling out all the great home sites throughout Watsonville. If I could have the council member Kaufman Gomez from District 6, as well as Councilmember Montesino and Councilmember Bilicic at the podium, and they may present the awards, and I'm glad to read off the names. And here's the microphone.
Do we know if they're here?
I don't know who's here. Well, let me find out who's here. That's always a good idea. Matthew Sims. Sims is here. Fred Montejo. Thank you, Fred. That's of Natalie Lane and Matthew Sims of Brewington Court. And Alfred and Esperanza Cortez of Clifford. Are they here? The Cortezes? And how about Dorothy McGrath, Center Street? Miss McGrath. Excellent. Here you go. I always think it's nice for the council members themselves to present these awards because they're it's their constituents that are receiving those. And why there's no awardee from District 3 at this time, I don't know.
2 next time.
Sometimes that happens. So first of all, who's up first? On our list, it's Matthew Sims and Fred Montejo? Thank you. If you'll come down to the microphone, and we welcome you to say a few words as well, and congratulations on your House and Garden Awards.
Thank you. And Matthew, this is just a congratulations on behalf of the city for the beautification that you've done in your yard and maintaining what's pride in ownership and pride of community, and that's really important, and I do appreciate it. So here's your recognition for doing that, and I'll make sure that I'll include you in my rounds for my walks in the neighborhood if I get home before dark. Okay. So thanks again, Matthew, and I'll let you have a few words.
All right. Smile. Thank you for this very much. I appreciate it. The thing that I thought was funny when this came out, because I didn't even know these existed, and that was pretty. I had a couple of ladies that showed up and just said, "Hey, we wanted to stick a sign in your yard," but it was already there before they came. So I guess somebody spoke before they actually came to do anything. But one thing that was interesting is that all of my neighbors now are frustrated, but at the same time now trying to catch up to me. So it's been it's a good virus to give out there. But yeah, so there's a lot of people doing work around my house and in our district, so it's a good thing too. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for maintaining such a high standard and encouraging others in your neighborhood.
And definitely,
that's part of the idea here.
Competition thing is pretty cool. I'll be out there looking. And Fred, again, we congratulate you for winning this honor with our committee that we have. And again, that helps us with pride and ownership, helps with property values. It helps with getting to know your neighbors as you're outside doing the yard work and gardening and whatnot. And that really helps in our community. So again, with respect for the committee and judging for you to win this honor, I congratulate you. And thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this award. And I will not say anything anymore because my neighborhood now is starting to spend more time in their garden.
A wonderful thing to do. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Fred. Thank you. Next up, and Fred, thank you so much. We appreciate you beautifying the city. Next up, we have Councilmember Bilicic, and she's awarding to Dorothy McGrath of Center Street the House and Garden Award for District 7.
Well, Mrs. McGrath, we are so honored to have you here this evening. It's my privilege to present to you this award because your home was noted as House and Garden of the Month for June. And we appreciate all of your efforts and the fact that you're here tonight to accept this award. We know it takes effort to get here, but you came, and we really appreciate the fact that you are here with us tonight. So congratulations on this wonderful award. You're quite welcome. Have anything you want to say?
Really, thank you. Oh, it's just so nice, and it's such a surprise, and I like that.
Wonderful.
And I love Watsonville. I was born here.
That's great.
So-
That's even better. A Watsonville resident, good job. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for having her come.
Again, congratulations, Ms. McGrath, and we look forward to you continuing to win these awards. Also, I just want to publicly acknowledge Councilmember Montesino's District 4 awardee, Alfred and Esperanza Cortez of 26 Clifford Avenue. And so congratulations to the Cortezes out there, and I'm sure that you'll be presenting that to them in person.
Yes, I will. Thank you. I will take it to their house. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, congratulations to all the House and Garden winners for the month of June. Next up on our agenda, 3.5, we have a presentation regarding Parks and Community Services Department communication strategies. This will be presented by Assistant Parks and Rec Community Services Director Blatchley. Brad.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff, and public. I'm Brad Blatchley, Assistant Director with the Parks and Community Services Department. And joining me tonight are Alex Garcia, a member of the Marinovich Park Computer Center, and Edmundo Silva, the Computer Center Assistant at the Computer Center at Marinovich Park. And tonight we'd like to share with you some of the strategies the Parks and Community Services Department uses to let the public know about our programs. And I also want to take this opportunity to publicly brag about the work of Mr. Silva and Mr. Garcia and the other staff in our department who create our marketing materials. Unlike other city governments or other businesses, we do not hire people, employees, or contract with third-party vendors to produce our marketing materials or maintain our website or our social media presence. We find staff in our department who can do it, and then we just assign them the task. So tonight, we can divide our communication strategies into two basic categories, print and electronic. Since I'm the Luddite of this trio, I'll talk about the print strategies, and Mr. Garcia and Mr. Silva will share our electronic strategies. Mindy Escueda at the Contigo program produces a newsletter every 2 months for the Parks and Recreation Commission. And this newsletter highlights all of the activities that happened in our department for the past month. And this newsletter is also available to the public on our website. Our recreation guide is created by the staff at the Enterprise Community Youth Network Computer Center. It's produced twice a year. We create a summer-fall edition and a winter-spring edition. Each edition is mailed to approximately 25,000 residents or addresses in 95076, 95077, and Freedom 95019. Copies are also available in our recreation centers and at both branches of the Watsonville Library and also on our website. Each of our centers, our recreation coordinators and our recreation leaders at our centers also produce flyers to advertise the programs they offer. These flyers are posted at our recreation centers, and they're also distributed to schools, businesses, and other organizations. Our flyers and our recreation guide are produced in both Spanish and in English. Now I'll have Mr. Silva discuss our electronic strategies.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff, and public. We use a variety of electronic methods to let the public know about our programs. The first is the department website. The Parks and Community Services Department website is maintained by the staff at the Enterprise Community Youth Network Computer Center. The staff at the Computer Center have been responsible for various aspects of the city website for over 13 years. The prior city website was created by high school students during several summer programs at the Computer Center. I was one of those students in this program and helped create the previous City of Watsonville website. The Computer Center staff also maintain Monterey Bay Birding Festival and Watsonville PAL websites. We also use social media to let the public know about the programs we offer. We first began using social media to advertise our programs in 2008 when we created a MySpace account. We then created a Facebook and Twitter account. The staff at the Marina Beach Computer Center created these accounts and post information on them several times a week. We also produce Recreation Station, a monthly video showcasing all of the programs offered by our department for the upcoming month. I am the former host of the program, and now I am the writer, director, producer, editor, camera operator, and script writer. Each segment is about 10 minutes long and airs on our department YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Watsonville TV. Here's a brief segment of a recent episode.
Hi, my name is Alex Garcia, here to let you know about all the exciting activities being offered to you by the City of Watsonville Parks and Community Services.
Thank you, Alex. Hello, I'm Raulel Covarrubias. Here's Peter Macias to tell us about all the fun activities that the Callahan Park Culture Center has to offer.
Hi, how's it going? I'm Peter Macias, Senior Recreation Leader here at Callahan Park Cultural Center. This month, we have an open house and another session of itty bitty sports. Come and check us out. First up, we have the open house at Callahan Park Cultural Center. Come and see all the wonderful things that take place at Callahan Park. Meet the staff and learn more about the activities and classes that are offered. Come and learn about all the activities that participants engage in. Learn more about the itty bitty program, Music Together, and our summer hours. This will be at Callahan Park Culture Center. It will be on Wednesday, May 29th from 4 to 6 p.m. and it is a free event. Next up, we have Itty Bitty Sports. These action-oriented activities are created especially for younger children. Learning the fundamentals and having fun are the goals of this program. All Itty Bitty programs are not competitive. Next up for Itty Bitty, we have flag football. This session is on Fridays from May 31st to June 21st from 5 to 6 p.m. Registration will end on May 16, and if you register by May the 2nd, you will receive a $5 discount. Thank you and hope to see you then.
Here to tell you about Get Out, Get Fit is Israel Tirado from the Youth Center.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Israel Tirado. I'm the Recreation Coordinator at the Gene Hilaris Walter Rodriguez Youth Center. And today, I'm here to talk to you about our award-winning Get Out, Get Fit Youth Camp. This summer, what do you rather do? Sit at home, watch TV reruns, be bored, or be outside, getting fit, learning how to stay healthy? Well, that's what the Get Out, Get Fit Youth Camp is all about. This 7-week program will teach you some outdoor skills, will teach you some knowledge that'll make you think twice before eating that junk food, think twice about sitting in front of that Xbox. The camp is open to ages 11 to 15 and it's a co-ed program. During the camp, you will learn how to swim, you will learn how to kayak, you will learn how to hike, we'll take you out mountain biking. We will challenge your body a little bit, but that's what it's all about. It's about challenging your body, stepping out of your comfort zone, learning how to be healthy. At the same time, you will have a lot of fun. You'll get a chance to meet new people, you'll get a chance to experience new environments, you'll learn how to be healthier. So we invite you to come out. This program is a great opportunity for you to stay active this summer, make some new friends, and experience some really cool activities. The camp is $100, but it includes 7 field trips, and it's Monday through Friday, 12 noon to 4 p.m., and it includes swimming classes, kayak lessons, food demonstrations, nutritional workshop, fitness classes at the gym. So you get all of that for only $100 for 7 weeks. So I challenge you to come out this summer and stay fit with us.
Thank you, Jaime, and thank you for watching this episode of Recreation Station. And remember to register now before you miss out, and see you soon. And check out our website at www.watsonvillerec.com.
And one of our two hosts, Alex Garcia, a junior at Watsonville High School and a member of the Marina Ridge Computer Center, will now describe how a recreation station is created.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, staff, and public. As a host of Recreation Station for the past 2.5 years, I would like to tell you how each episode is created. We contact each of the recreation coordinator and set a date to film them describing what is happening at their center for the upcoming month. We use an inexpensive HD video camera to film the show. We receive the footage, and then me and my co-host, Raudel Covarrubia, and I are filmed doing the introduction for the episode. We then use video editing software at the computer center to edit all of the footage into a final project. Each episode of Recreation Station is uploaded to the department's YouTube channel, embedded on the department's website and Facebook page, and sent to the Watsonville department staff to air on the channel. This concludes our presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Let's see if the council has any questions or if the public might wish to speak on this either. Council members? Councilmember Kaufman Gomez.
Now, you say that you participated with this through when you were in high school. How did you learn about it as a youth about this program?
It's because I live next door, so
okay.
I spend most of my time there.
So you spent a lot of time at the Callahan Park, or was it Marina Beach?
It's Marina Beach.
Okay, so Marina Beach Park, youth in the neighborhood go to the rec center to use that to sort of burn a lot of energy kind of thing. And how do you engage other youth in coming to the rec center and getting involved?
I think it's a pretty good experience. It's fun. You could do a lot of things there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of experience there, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Has part of this experience help you with what you'd like to do when you get through school?
Well, yeah.
Good.
It's helped me a lot.
Great. Well, just a few questions on that. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but you've done a great job, all of you, on working with the youth on this plan. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions and comments. I think it's always good to keep the youth on their toes because they're coming after us otherwise. Thank you, gentlemen. Great presentation, and we're glad to see it on the Jumbotron here as well, and we know you're doing good work with kids. Next up on our agenda is the presentation of update of regarding the Manabi Owl project by Community Development, Marcela Travantes. Ms. Travantes, are you ready?
Oh yeah. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council.
Good
How
evening.
are you? So today, I would like to give you a little presentation on what's happening with Manabi Owl. You know, we haven't heard anything for a long time. So it'd be easy to just assume nothing's going on, but actually we have made a ton of progress. So first of all, let's remember that in 2010, the City Council approved a 20-year specific plan and EIR for this project, and it includes 1 million square feet of light industrial research square foot floor and up to 26,000 square feet of neighborhood retail. It also includes 100 workforce housing units, which range in income from 50% of county median to 200% of county median. It included wetlands restoration of 25 acres, which have been completed. And during the process of the specific plan, several options for interim use were contemplated, and one such option was to do storage. So a 3-acre piece of land of the Manabi property has an interim storage use approved. They have not moved on it, but they do have the opportunity to do so if they want to. It's a 5-year use permit with an option of a 5-year renewal. The environmental review identified significant constraints on the development of the Manabi portion. The two major constraints are the floodplain, which means that those pads need to be raised a foot above the flood elevation. And second, there's a large amount of peat soils, especially on the east side, and it requires soil removal or treatment and compaction of soil. And I'll give you an example. In this case, the peat is only about 40 feet deep. So it would be possible to drill piles that are longer than 40 feet and anchor the building on solid ground without replacing the peat. But the piles are extremely expensive. So a general industrial use that only leases for a certain amount of square foot wouldn't pay for the foundation that that building would require. Another way of dealing with peat soil is to surcharge it for years and years and years until it basically goes down as much as it's going to go down. And I'll give you an example you've all seen and wonder why it looks so terrible. There's a mound of dirt next to Cowboy Cafe, and that is ground being surcharged for consolidation because peat was at that location. And at one point, the property owner was going to build some apartments there with parking underneath, and he was surcharging the soil to compact all the peat and not have to remove it and replace it. So it takes several years of putting heavier soil on top to compact peat. So you have seen it done. And finally, one of the things that really was a game changer for this project was the loss of redevelopment. We had intended to be able to use some of the redevelopment funds to fund a portion of the infrastructure or assist with the infrastructure in some way. But that is no longer an option, and that's really affected the financing of this project. So here's the project as the specific plan originally approved it. And as you can see, this red here is just little bitty retail to just serve the project. This is the housing piece. This is all the slough that's been restored. And then these blue buildings here make up the square footage of industrial land. And they're just an example. None of the buildings are going to be necessarily that size or that shape. So let's talk a little bit about the deed restrictions. When this project reaches $350,000 in point of sale revenue, whether it's one parcel that creates that much sale revenue or the entire parcel, the entire project, the city is required to share 50% of this additional revenue with the county. This deed restriction, as well as all deed restrictions, expire in December 31st of 2030. And the reason I'm going over these deed restrictions is because they've been discussed a lot lately, and I would like everybody to understand what they mean. So even if you had a very, very profitable industrial user that had point of sale revenues in excess of $350,000, we would have to start sharing that sales tax. The annexation requirement of LAFCO created significant land use limitations as deed restrictions on the parcels. Retail and personal service uses shall not exceed 5% of gross floor area of business park. So no more than 5% of the total square footage can be retail. Retail, any one retail outlet cannot be bigger than 20,000 square feet by itself. So you couldn't aggregate the entire 5% into one building, because no building can be larger than 20,000 square feet. Big box stores and automobile sales are prohibited on the site. And in order to amend these deed restrictions or get rid of the deed restrictions, you need approval by the County Board of Supervisors, Watsonville Wetlands Watch, and LAFCO, and a 5 majority vote of council. So it's 4 bodies that have to agree to amend these deed restrictions. As you can see, these deed restrictions really do create a handicap for this project, especially the share of the tax, the sales tax revenue. So,
It's the county, Watsonville Wetlands, the 5 majority of the council, and then it goes to LAFCO.
Well, it's in the wrong order here.
Right.
First, it would go to the city council, and then there is no order between the Board of Supervisors and Wetlands Watch, but the last body would be LAFCO.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So what has been happening on the project so far? A lot. So on April 15th of 2013, we approved a minor land division, and I'll show you a map of exactly what that looks like on the next slide. The application is completely consistent with the Manabiao specific plan and EIR as the first phase of the specific plan. There's 4 lots, and they range in size from 2 to 3.3 acres, and there's a remainder lot. I'll explain all that on the graphic. It includes design review for 4 separate buildings with a total not to exceed 130,000 square feet, and I'll remind you why that's important. And any additional square footage will require completion of the infrastructure improvements and closure of Loma Vista access. If you remember when this was approved, for those of you who were here, the first phase of this project will take access from Loma Vista. And there's a deal that was made with the residents that's included in the specific plan, and that is only up to, but no more than 130,000 square foot of industrial use can be accessed off of Loma Vista. Once you reach 130,000 square feet, you have to build the other infrastructure so that the cars come from the other side. And the reason why this was in there was because if you develop 130,000 square feet, you'll have access to some funds to begin your infrastructure development, which is so expensive. So let's look at the picture. So this is what was created, and I'll give you a prettier picture, but this is Loma Vista coming from the top, and this is how you enter the project. So all this is built. You just would build from here on. And the OWS tentatively created these 4 parcels. There, this is prettier, easier to see too. So here's the entrance from Loma Vista. These are the 4 parcels that were created, and they're being offered for sale. This does not mean that they have to retain this shape or this size. If one large user wanted all 130,000 square feet with one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, those 4 parcel lines would be erased, and it would be one big parcel, and it could be 130,000 square feet. But given what they expected to be the initial demand, they created 4 smaller buildings. But that is totally, to use a non-word, changeable. It is completely, can be modified at any time. So this is the picture, the original picture. This is Highway 1. These are the 4 parcels at the top of the out property. This is what's called the remainder property, and this is where that infamous bridge is. So the first phase of improvement is estimated to begin in early 2014, that first 130,000 square feet, and we estimate that to be completed by 2017. Here's that picture I showed you earlier, and here is an even nicer picture that actually shows some of the street trees and other landscaping, and it attempts to show the buildings in 3 dimensions. As you can see, the buildings are very short, so and this is so much lower than the street above, so this won't really interfere with the residents on that first street of Seaview Ranch. So the infrastructure design, if you remember, the redevelopment agency authorized a loan of up to $750,000 for infrastructure design for the Manabiao property. The design of the infrastructure is 90% complete, and it has been prepared by DEFCON Construction. And this means that the drawings are almost ready to bid for the design. The estimated cost for the backbone improvements, and let me go back and show you what those backbone improvements are. So here's Ohlone Parkway. This is the railroad. This is Highway 1. The $12.2 million includes this traffic circle, this road, all the way up to this road. But it doesn't include this piece, because you would start off by building off of this main road, and then at the end, you would install these streets and build the rest. So 90% of this design is completed, and the very best news of the whole thing is that backbone improvements are estimated at $12.2 million. I know that's a terribly high sum, but originally it was expected it might cost $30 million. so this is half. It's good. The city is working with EDA on a grant for half of the cost of the improvements. We have been talking to them. We were getting ready to submit in June, but they recommended to us that we submit in September. So we are submitting a grant request for half of that 12 million. And the city is working with the developers to create an infrastructure finance district to address the matching fund required after the grant to build the entire backbone of this project. This is not just the first 130. This gets the project to almost completion. So again, this is the backbone that would be built with those funds. Future projects. There's a potential 94-unit workforce housing nearing submittal. Some of you have met with a developer, so you know what that looks like. Once financing is obtained for the backbone infrastructure, we can move forward with the remainder of the light industrial projects. The estimated build-out of the industrial area will take 20 years, and that's what it took Westridge Business Park. You know, we all look at the cul-de-sac, and it's been done, and it's like been there forever. No, I plan checked the first building that went in 25 years ago, and it's taken 20 years to build. So it seemed to have happened really fast, but it didn't. And the specific plan amendment is required to consider big box or other type of large-scale commercial uses per the street deed restriction requirements. So that specific plan carries with it the deed restriction requirements where we pursue getting rid of the deed restrictions. We would amend the specific plan to remove those restrictions from the specific plan. And finally, I want to make sure everybody knows that all the documents that I'm citing and are being used and relate to this project are available for public view on our website. And that also contains the entire body of the deed restriction documents. And the specific plan and environmental review are in the Community Development Department section of the city's website. So all these projects and everything I have reviewed with you is available on our website. The deed restriction document is 58 pages, and it's also on the website, and it's an appendix to the specific plan if you're looking for it. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for a very thorough and complete presentation. You know, this has been a long-standing, difficult, and really kind of hard to wrap your head around some of this stuff. And this is part of the emptiness that I have because I wasn't here when this was approved. And so it's good to get this this update because it's been going on for a long time. And Marcel, it's my understanding all this presentation you have here will be on the website as well.
I'll be happy to put this.
I want to make sure the press has full access to it because I think there are a lot of unanswered questions that are answered in your presentation here tonight, and there's a lot of complexity that the general public probably doesn't know about this particular project. You know, one of my questions is why would any city council approve or adopt or approve any of these great deed restrictions that just choke down this property? What was the gun that was held to their head at the time?
The gun was, thou shalt have no industrial land to develop. It was the opportunity to attempt to create jobs in this community versus a denial of annexation by LAFCO. So this was, at the time, the best compromise. At this time, it appears that the prohibitions and the deed restrictions are onerous, and it may be possible to pursue changing those deed restrictions at this time.
Why is that you suggest?
Well, I think that in the discussions of Measure T, several times it was brought up that this property hasn't been developed and we have all this vacant acreage, but I don't think people are aware of the deed restrictions that are included with this piece of property and the costs and the geological problems that this property has. And so when I say that you can build a building on peat with a 60-foot pile, it's not one pile, it's 100 piles. And that isn't going to pencil out with a building where you're renting it by the thousands of square feet. It will never pay for that foundation. But if that building had a retail component, it would pay for that foundation. So that's why these deed restrictions and the geological information is important.
Thank you. Other questions from the council members? Councilmember Bilicich.
Regarding the peat, did we know that 40 feet, that we were going to have to go down 40 feet?
Oh, yeah. We always knew that this property had peat. But at the time that the annexation was first pursued, you have to remember there was a market that was higher than now for industrial use in terms of value. We always knew that the peat had either, it needed to be replaced or surcharged, overcharged, supercharged.
So if you dug a hole 40 feet deep, you could use landfill to put in there?
No.
It has to be very good soil.
Well, it's important to note that it's not all 40 feet. It varies in depth.
Yeah.
Some of it is a lot less than 40 feet. That's just, that's one of the deepest parts of the soil, so it varies. The other thing is that we were always planning to use our redevelopment agency to help subsidize or match a EDA grant, which would have helped fund all of this infrastructure costs, including the surcharging or the replacement of the soil.
And this $350,000 was in there somewhere? Something
Yes,
the cost,
regarding
something. Is that new, or did we know that all the time?
No, that's in the property tax exchange agreement.
That's a, when you do an annexation, the city has to enter into an agreement with the county over how you're going to share any tax revenue. Now, given that this was agricultural land, there was very little or no tax revenue, very minimal amounts. But the county put in a poison pill, basically. So the poison pill is that if we earn any more than $350,000 in sales tax, then we have to pay 50% of that to this county. And that was to discourage us from any retail development on the property. A lot of this was engineered when Marty Wormhout was on, if you remember, when she was on the Board of Supervisors, the deed restrictions and this poison pill on the tax revenue.
But all of this was on there prior to our approval?
It was either, and at LAFCO, basically, the decision was either you take all these restrictions or we're not going to approve the annexation. So take it or leave it. That was basically what we were told at that time. This is in 1999.
And right, and the tax agreement preceded the annexation by a few years. It was entered into 2005 with the hopes that we would not develop retail on this site.
Certainly was a brave council that approved this project back in the last decade, or the last century. Councilmember Kaufman-Gomez.
I certainly think that there is a strong possibility of change of tide for us to go ahead and have some of these deed restrictions reconsidered, and would definitely support the conversation for us to be able to have to start anything there that would help relieve us from the barriers that we have in front of us to develop this. And I do think that poison pill was out there with the way supervisors were handling things with what was going on in South County. And I would strongly encourage us to reevaluate and revisit some of those things that have created the restrictions. That particular tax revenue potential could help with whatever the costs were that we would have to replenish, essentially, as well as what a future development we need for the city here, given our financial circumstances that we're in now. So thank you very much for your presentation. I'm sure I'll get more questions out of this, but we need to be able to have this as a staple available to pull out and explain and know what's going on with the progress, because this is our future that we have to work on now. And I know that with the result of Measure T, it is dialogue we need to have to be prepared for our future of what comes next that may take the other 15 or 20 years before we can even break ground on. So it's certainly something to be talking over.
I'll be happy to email you all this PowerPoint,
Thank you.
and I'll put it on our webpage.
Thank you very much for the questions. It's a difficult circumstance, certainly, and I can't quite put myself back into to what the council members had to deal with at that time, but it was a very onerous group of of restrictions and, you know, a take it or leave it approach, which I guess folks didn't have much choice at that time. Councilmember Dodge.
Well, I happened to be around at that time, and I think that you have to look at the climate of what it is that was going on at the county level. And we had to deal with that factor of so-called, well, I call it liberal racism, and so anybody else can call it whatever they like. But it was a factor of the non-growth component that was dominating Santa Cruz politics at that particular time, led by the former supervisor from District 3, God rest her soul, Marty Wormhart, who was very much leading the way through no-growth policies at the county level and at the LAFCO level. Also at that particular time, I think it's worth mentioning part of the deed restrictions, and I'm glad that there is a sense of optimism in addressing some of these deed restrictions. I might not be so optimistic at the moment, but because that considers looking, you have a nonprofit agency that can void this whole deal that's involved in this process. There was litigation. One of the former members of that nonprofit agency had a lawsuit against the city of Watsonville at that particular time, or close to that particular time, was also the chair of LAFCO at that particular time. And am I not correct in, without mentioning names at that particular point? Because he's addressed us on a few occasions here. And so that nonprofit agency still has the ability to kill this whole deal. And I point that out because it's not just an interaction between governmental agencies. It also includes a nonprofit agencies that this council has adhered to a majority of their request and built a lot of environmental concerns that they've requested into this, into the way we do business. So I think that's when we talk about the $350,000 number, that was at a particular time to address any kind of sales tax revenue. The powers to be at the county level at that time didn't feel that Watsonville was entitled to be able to generate that type of revenue on this particular project. And this particular project, the Manabiao, is also out of the original Riverside Drive annexation project, which included the Secaudaket property and the property located across the street on Lee Road, known as the Resitar property. So a lot of frustration that was expressed with the challenges the city faced that by the proponents of Measure T related to the inability of this property to be able to generate revenue on itself. That was a previous discussion, just wanted to make a reference point. That being said, with the county, the city, and the nonprofit agency and the county board, the local agency formation commission, that's still a long and arduous process for us to be able to get any of those deed restrictions lifted because there's so many agencies that can have a no vote, including a 5-7 vote that's required of the city council here. So a lot of understanding those challenges that have to go with this property is not to say, woe is me, it can never happen, but to be able for it to sufficiently address some of the needs that we have in this community at this current time. It's years away, involves years of dialogue, and hope to live to see it through someday. Thank you.
Thanks for the history lesson for those who have forgotten. Thank you. Another question?
Did I say liberal racism? Because I meant liberal racism. And I'm sorry if I offended anybody by doing that. Thank you.
You've made yourself perfectly clear. Thank you. Other questions, comments from the council? Let us move on then. Marcela, thank you very much. What a step back into history. Let's go to our consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda, 4.1 through 4.2 2, 3. What items would the council like to pull on the consent agenda? Councilmember Dodge?
I'd like to move consent.
You'd like to move consent agenda. Wonderful idea. We have been here a while. Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
But I'm up for anybody.
I'll second.
I hear a motion by Dodge to approve the consent agenda, a second by Councilmember Kaufman Gomez. Discussion on the motion. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I would like to pull item 4.6.
Let's make item 4.6 now 5.1. Councilmember Bilsich?
I will not be voting on 4.1. We have 23 items on this consent agenda. I'd like to note a couple of things that I feel are very positive on this consent agenda, and that's the Public Works Department 4.4 and 4.5, making some improvements in our city to resurface roads and also to, I guess that's basically it, construction and resurfacing roads. I think that's a real positive thing. And 4.7, where we have a one-year grant to help reduce alcohol-related disorder issues in the city. And also 4.8, another grant to continue funding the Watsonville Police Department's mobile digital in-car video project. I just think those should be noted that they are on consent agenda, along with 10 employee units, and they're the agreements for those employee organizations. And I would hope that in the future, this council will put more effort into reviewing the actual agreements prior to approval.
Thank you. Other comments on the consent agenda? I think there are a number of very positive things in the consent agenda, and certainly the negotiations should be included in that. I know that negotiators have worked extremely hard for a lengthy amount of time, and that the council was briefed all along the way and setting out the parameters to start with. And, you know, we wish things were more prosperous in the community and that we could offer our employees more rather than the current status quo. But hats off to the employees, each and every one of them, for their willingness to adjust to the difficult conditions and meet us halfway with our request. And so thanks to the employees. Any other comments on the consent agenda? We have a motion on the floor for approval.
And do we need to, since I made a motion, do we need to include pulling item?
Yes, we're going to pull item 4.6 will now be item 5.1. That's the resolution setting the livable wage, if there is one, a livable wage. We'll come back to that after the consent agenda. Other comments on the motion? Seeing none, let's have a roll call on the consent agenda as amended.
Yelisic?
Yes, except 4.1, with the, I don't know, that we need to review incentives in future employee agreements down the line. Thank you.
Cervantes?
Yes.
Kaufman Gomez?
Yes.
Dodge?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Montesino?
Yes.
Hurst?
Yes, and the consent agenda is so approved. Thank you very much. That leaves us with the former 4.6, now item 5.1, resolution setting the living wage at $13.08 for those employees receiving benefits and at $14.27 for those employees not receiving benefits for the fiscal year 2013 to 2014. Do we have a report on this item, or do you want to ask some questions on it, or would you like to continue this to a date certain?
I was just hoping to continue this item for actual discussion for next week's meeting. And the reason for this is that I would like to see a short presentation about how the living wage is established, you know, who the vendors are that participate in this process with the city, how is it monitored. So my motion, I guess, is to continue it for next week's
Yes, I don't
meeting.
know that we need a motion on this. I'm certainly willing to continue that over. Is that going to be adequate? Do we have room on our next meeting?
Yes.
This is going to be on the 2nd? So let's just continue this item, and we'll all be able to study up on it and get a little more history about what the living wage really means and
thank you.
Who's affected by it. So that dispenses or postpones to our next meeting, item 4.6, the former item 4.6, now the item, currently item 5.1. This brings us to our new business item. This is item 8.1, agreement with the University of California, Santa Cruz, UCSC, to establish a teaching and research facility located on the City of Watsonville properties at the Water Resources Center located at 500 Clearwater Lane. We'll have a staff report, we'll have a chance for council questions, an opportunity for public input, and then a resolution hopefully approving this agreement. So let's move to staff report first, and then we'll have council questions.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, staff and public, my name is Brent Haddad. I'm a professor at UC Santa Cruz and the principal investigator for Water Lab. I'm sure you know Mr. Kevin Silvera. To my left, he's the wastewater division manager. We may look like twins, but we actually aren't related.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
I couldn't tell you apart.
We'll wave when we're talking. I'd also like to introduce Lisa Akeson, who is the head of the real estate office at UC Santa Cruz. I'd also like to thank Mr. Steve Palmisano from Public Works, who's worked very hard with us as well. So we have a brief presentation that we'd like to share with you. And I guess, are we doing the, okay.
Can we get your name again for the record, sir?
Sure.
We've never met.
Brent Haddad.
Haddad.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Haddad, and welcome.
Thank you. So we'd like to introduce our water lab idea to you. It is a teaching and research laboratory, and by student built and operated, what I mean is the students are involved in designing and building the individual units that are involved in water treatment. The best way for a student to learn about advanced water treatment methods is if they build a small bench scale version of what they're doing, and then they ramp it up to pilot scale. And so we'd like the students to be experts at advanced water treatment, and so that's why we're building this facility. This facility will be capable of producing potable water. That means drinkable, although there's no intention of anyone drinking it. We'll just test it when we're done with the process and see how close we got. So it's really for learning how to be water treatment experts. So our lab is designed with research, teaching, and community service goals. My center, I'm director of the Center for Integrated Water Research, and we'll be operating it, but the location is your Watsonville Water Resources Center. So this is just a poster that we've took a photograph from the wall, and I guess the important thing is down, right in the middle is that we have a partnership in developing this program. By way of history, it goes back a ways. In 2007, I found out that Lawrence Livermore Laboratory had some water treatment units basically on their back lot that they weren't using. So I went to the effort of having them transferred to UC Santa Cruz. And then about a year later, I took a class to the desalination pilot facility and thought this is perfect for a learning environment for students. And so at that point, I decided I wanted a facility like Water Lab and started working on it. Here's an example of one of the units. ROPU stands for Reverse Osmosis Water Purification Unit. No one could figure out how this one worked, so we decided not to keep it. Here's the original unit that we got as it's getting on the truck in Livermore, California. And we brought it out and stored it here on the Central Coast. But by 2009, I had met Kevin and we were talking about teaming up on this, and he convinced me that that was just too large. That was a facility large enough to provide water to a city of 100,000 people, and we just didn't need that to teach students how it worked. So what we did was we managed to trade for a smaller unit that was newer and just perfect for teaching students. And so, and then at that point, we were in a position to work with Kevin and the Public Works Department to try to develop a facility. And that was 2009. And so you can see from the overhead right where at your Water Resources Center the Water Lab building is located. And this is how it looks. Your classroom facility is on the right, and just to the left is the building that it will house Water Lab if we proceed. So here's an inside view of the education center, and we would bring students to this facility, and we would hold conferences. And then next door, here's what the Water Lab facility looks like at the moment. You can see that we're still really in the early stages of putting together the water treatment units, but we're not at zero. And then we just have a nice picture of some of the folks who've been so helpful to us. This is right near the Water Lab facility. This is your state-of-the-art laboratory for testing water, and we've already had students in for a laboratory session there, and we really learned a lot from bringing our students in and exposing them to what it means to be professionals at this. And it's actually helped us back at UC Santa Cruz in improving our own laboratory teaching. So why Watsonville? These are really reasons that it attracted me to working with Kevin and Steve. First of all, you have tomorrow's challenges today, and that's really trying to balance limited water supply between urban and agricultural needs. And then you have a huge impetus to protect the Monterey Bay Marine Sanctuary. And so everybody else, if they don't know already that they have these problems, they're going to find out. And you're already dealing with them. So this is a perfect place for students to learn. And you're interested in getting the best treatment processes you can at the least cost, and that's a perfect environment for us to be training students. As you know, the water issues on the Central Coast are regional, and so that's a good place for students to think about these economic and political and social connections with water. And the last thing is that I'm hoping that our training of students will contribute to the regional workforce, and that some of the students who find the facility as interesting as I do will stick around and make a career out of it. So by 2010, we had our ideas hammered out as to how we wanted this relationship to go. And that's around that time, we called in our experts, in my case, Lisa Akeson, and we started working on the lease. And so that's really what we're looking at today. As Lisa was working on that, we were acquiring more treatment equipment, building our curriculum, and also trying to build research programs that would take place at Water Lab. So that's been proceeding over the last couple of years. So an important milestone was when we brought Eli Weintraub on board. He's an engineer who specializes in building and operating desalination pilot plants. The technology is very similar. So he's been helping us on the technical side. He regrets that he couldn't be here today. Just an example of students at the very earliest stages of building something called a slow sand filtration unit. Theirs was about the size of a little fish aquarium, but it really was the design for what students ultimately have been building that will be part of the treatment process at Water Lab. Well, so far, we've had about 300 UC Santa Cruz students visit the Water Resources Center for broader tours, and some of them have helped us with the design and building of Water Lab. We've had an entire course based on designing Water Lab and learning how you actually design a facility. We've had numerous students do independent studies, and under Eli Weintraub's guidance, we have students who are really excited to get going and take this to the next step. I just want to say that Kevin and his staff have been great about giving us tours and helping us conceptually and really putting us in a position to have an exciting facility. So just one example, we have a lab class that really emerged from the experience at your laboratory, where we learned what students needed to know and created a new laboratory to train them on it. And although I'm blanking out on her name, one of the laboratory scientists you have is a graduate of UC Santa Cruz. Oh, that's Jackie. We're now working on research grants, and we have some opportunities with NASA and Department of Homeland Security for testing water treatment equipment. Private foundations we've applied to. We've raised some money, and we hope to name the lab for a benefactor. Because there are lots of people out there who are interested in sustainable water supply, and I think might get excited about this. So we're hoping that we're on the verge of finalizing the formal agreements. This summer, or actually next year, some of your high school students will be participating at Water Lab, and we just hope to have more research and teaching going on in the future. So I guess those are, we're really just about all we have. Interested in energy and linking sustainable energy with sustainable water supply, and curriculum and more research projects, and being good members of the community. So I guess just from the City of Watsonville perspective, we're hoping that Watsonville High School students will get excited about both civil service and sustainable water supply, and there's lots of opportunities, as you can see, for them, and Water Lab will give them an introduction to many of them. And then there's also just this issue that's facing the water industry all over the country, and that is the aging of the water professionals and the need to replace them. And so your water professionals are in the same situation of having to recruit new people, and if we have a laboratory training people in state-of-the-art systems right here in Watsonville, there's just a better chance to cherry pick, and that's fine with me. to keep the best students locally. So there's just, we expect hundreds more UCSC students to come to Watsonville and learn. And we also hope that there will, and expect that we'll get some national recognition for the city and the university by creating this innovative partnership. And then the next couple of things that are, hopefully we'll be learning things about how to optimize these water treatment methods, lower the cost, and Watsonville will be right there to learn what we learn. And if we come up with some good ideas, they're right there and available. And in terms of the cost, the way we've arranged the lease is there aren't any out-of-pocket expenses for the city. So just an example of some, these are the reactions we get from students who visit the Water Resources Center. So we're happy to field any questions you have.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Haddad. We're really excited about this opportunity as well. I'm meeting with the Monterey Bay Aquarium's youth group. They call themselves the Watch, the Wetland and Environmental Protective students that are focused on wellness of our ecosystem. I'll be meeting with them tomorrow, and I'll be sure and share this information with them. You know, I'm really, Kevin's given several tours, and the Chancellor and I toured the facility last month, and we were really impressed with the potential and the future of it. And I'm so glad that you're excited about it too, and thank you for bringing your talent and expertise to bear along with your staff. And so thank you, Kevin, as well, for your always very knowledgeable and exciting tours. And folks just can't believe what's there and the potential that exists in solving some of the water treatment problems that affect the National Marine Sanctuary. And so thank you very much. Let's see if Council has questions for you. Council? Councilmember Kaufman-Gomez?
Sorry, I looked to my left and nobody's there. I do have a few questions for you.
They're getting some water.
They must be, they're thirsty. Oh, the presentation did it to them, right? How many students? Are we looking at students on a regular basis, or are they just coming in for a tour? It seems like they're more participatory, so how many would we be seeing as a quasi-campus?
Well, it's just the laboratory. It's not really a quasi-campus, but I would say in the first year we'll have tours of we're just talking about UC Santa Cruz students, probably 50 to 70 students as a tour, and then another 15 in a laboratory setting, and that 15 would be there for 1 quarter, just occasionally as they studied water treatment methods. Well, we'd have 2 or 3 students at least year-round who are interested in internships.
Okay.
So
that'll be good. I noticed that you've mentioned Watsonville High School. Are you also involving the PV High School or Aptos High School in terms of being open for those students as well? Or is there a special program you have going with Watsonville right now?
There's a program that you're probably aware of, and I just know the unusual acronym, which is SQUIBBLES, and that's the program that takes UC Santa Cruz doctoral students and teams them up with high school teachers and advances the high school teacher knowledge, and then involves the students in the following year. So this summer, I think that's all Watsonville high schools, actually, not just Watsonville High. So this summer we'll have all the teachers in the program out to Water Lab, and then next year one of the teachers will bring their students out to learn more about the Water Resources Center.
Well, I certainly like the fact that it's a zero cost for the city situation, but we're doing quite a bit of improvements to such a nice facility that's been put together here. I did want to know, I know that you were looking at a major donor. How much is the overall cost of the project you're looking to put in place I know that you've got some grants coming in and you're looking for more funding, but what are the overall?
Well, we're opportunistic, and so if we get the large grants, then we know just how we'll spend them. I guess that's we could. I guess another way to, if I might rephrase the question, is what's the minimum amount we need to achieve what we need to do going forward, and that would be probably in the range of $50,000 per year that we would raise through grants and other funding. I mean, we could probably continue what we're doing for less than that, but I'm hoping for very large grants in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's the kinds of things we're going to be applying for.
And I think I have one last question for you, and that is, desal is such an expensive process, and it's being talked along the coastline quite a bit here. Hopefully we're going to see some of the research to see if there's anything that can cut the cost down and make it a more feasible or viable project maybe that could be benefited from starting here in San Diego. I think that they want to do something down there. I think you want to do something in North County. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more information on the progress of your desal and the research you're doing in that.
Sure. The technologies used in water reuse and desalination are very similar because they really demand a very high level of water purification, and at this time they're highly energy intensive, and so if we can take a crack at that and make some improvements, that would really be a service. And of course, we're going to do our best.
Great. Thanks very much. Very good presentation and very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Haddon. And thank you for mentioning squibbles, too. I had some role with squibbles when I was a high school teacher, and we were glad to work with Professor Gilbert and the UCSC staff in bringing those university fellows down to Watsonville, and it was a great educational opportunity for both sides in that case, and we look forward to replicating that in your lab and bringing researchers and students and having a teaching and learning facility. And we think that this will be a great step forward, not just in water reclamation and cleaning the environment, but also job opportunities and great careers in water science and an opportunity for hands-on application. You know, we're very pleased about that. Other questions from the council, comments? Mayor Pro Tem?
I had a question regarding maybe the sort of vision over in the environmental studies department. So the current sort of course offerings or opportunities to come and be part of this lab, is that part of the general ed requirements, or is it part of declaring the major? How do you see that?
Right now, the opportunities, well, there's one in the lower division, which means anybody on campus can take it. It's actually one of the few online classes offered at UC, in the UC system, and I happen to be the one teaching it, and I'm going to integrate Water Lab into an online class. So it'll be an interesting hybrid of field trips to Water Lab plus online curriculum. And then in the upper division, there are at least 3 classes that students have an opportunity to take to fulfill the major. At this point, there's no required class that would bring the students here, but there are lots of students interested in water. And so I think the presence of this laboratory will just build that excitement about careers in water and studying water.
Thank you again. Other comments, questions from the council?
No
Councilmember Hernandez?
No questions, just a comment. You know, I really look forward to this partnership. I think it's going to be a good partnership between, you know, the city and UC Santa Cruz.
Thank you. I'm convinced of that as well. And as the staff report says, this is an extremely unique opportunity to teach students and perform research in an established professional industrial wastewater treatment environment, and that this effort will educate hundreds of UCSC students in the an understanding of existing water and wastewater treatment processes, and it'll facilitate the local exploration of emerging technologies. And I think that says it all. And so thank you very much. We're sorry to hold you so late here this evening. We never know how long the council meetings will run on, but we always want to make sure that we have adequate opportunities for public comment. And so with that, I would offer this time for any member of the audience to have a comment on this item. So we're going out to public input. Seeing none, we'll return it back to the council for discussion and an appropriate motion. Councilmember Bilicic.
Just wanted to make a few comments. I think the city of Watsonville has a state-of-the-art plant, and this is a unique opportunity, and I'm glad that UCSC recognizes the diamond here that you see. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for students in Watsonville and also students attending UCSC. I mean, you can branch it out anywhere in the county. But I appreciate the fact that you have done your research and notice what a resource you have here. I think it'll be a great opportunity for all involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Haddad. We're really excited to have such first-class partners as the university and your program. And thank you, Kevin, for your work. I know every day you're right there on the job, and you do a marvelous presentation when you give tours as well. So thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Certainly. Seeing no, yes.
I'll make a motion.
Please.
We approve this agreement. Well, we approve the agreement as stated in the packet.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion by Bilicic, second by Kaufman Gomez. Discussion on the motion.
Good plan.
Excellent partners. We look forward to our mutual success. Any further discussion? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Bilicic.
Yes.
Cervantes.
Yes.
Kaufman Gomez.
Yes.
Dodge. Fernandez.
Yes.
Montesino.
Yes.
Hurst.
Yes, and so approved. Congratulations to you gentlemen, and congratulations to the taxpayers and citizens of Watsonville. This will be a great resource for us all. Thank you. And with that, we'll conclude our evening session here, and we will we'll adjourn and return on April 2nd. Is that my understanding? July. Well, we'll be here next April too. Well, some of us will.
Next week.
So with that, meeting adjourned.